Hey yo, how we hanging though? Soul here, and welcome back to my story mode. So welcome to another edition of Soul Ramble Mode, where we have little podcast style discussions talking about whatever the hell we want. And in this particular video, you've seen the title and you've seen the thumbnail. We are talking a bit about Kirby today, right? And I do say that this is a Soul Ramble Mode, but I definitely have things a little more organized than usual for this one, solely because I kind of had to map out what I wanted from what the potential next mainline Kirby game could be, because in reality, I've never had much of a problem with mainline Kirby games. Very rarely do I have a problem with all the new ideas that they implement, the way they utilize Kirby and his abilities. I never have any particular thing that I want to see next until this point, right? And even now, at this point, it's not like anything crazy. Like, everything that I'm about to say isn't anything like completely outlandish or anything like that, something that Kirby's never necessarily done before. It's just kind of stuff that I would like to see in this next mainline Kirby game, because we haven't had Kirby in a good while now, right? I mean, we did thankfully get the remaster for Kirby's Return to Dreamland, which I'm very thankful for. That is by and far still my favorite Kirby game to date. I mean, in competition with Forgotten Land, at least. But regardless, it's been a couple of years now, and there is a new Nintendo console on the way. And, I hope... I mean, okay, there is a very slight possibility that by the time this video is up, that console will have been announced. Everybody seems to be thinking it's happening on Thursday. It's currently Wednesday night. So, if it got announced... oh my god, wow, I can't believe how good looking the Switch 2 is. Or, wow, I can't believe that's the decision they went with for the design of the Switch 2. That's all I got for you, because we're probably not going to know any games at this point. We're probably going to get, like, what the thing looks like, or we're going to get an announcement for when we're going to get a real showcase or something, and that's it. But regardless, we're probably going to get Kirby on that thing. And so, before we know just a little too much about what this Kirby game could be bringing to us, I want to make a little hopes and wishes list of things that I would like to see from said Kirby game, because this is the only time to do so, because if there's any series that makes sense to be a launch title, or at least within the launch year of the Switch 2, Kirby would definitely be on my list of guesses of games that would make it, next to like 3D Mario and stuff like that. But with that being said, why don't we talk about a couple of my hopes and wishes of gameplay aspects I would like to see going into this next Kirby title. The first major thing that I would like to see, and this is going to sound crazy, but I would definitely love to see something of an open zone style. Now, you guys know me. Big fan of Sonic Frontiers. Easily one of my favorite Sonic games of all time. I love that game to death. Despite its imperfections, yes, it's still a solid game. Fight me on it. I don't care, right? However, one of the things that I very much adore about that game is that it has a multitude of open zones, and all of these open zones are stylized, depending on where Sonic is in the moment, whether, it'd be the little desert or like sandy zone that he was in, or like, all the different islands and things like that have very different aesthetics to them, and that is something that I would like to see for Kirby, because that's a style that would also work very well for Kirby. But on top of that, all of the different enemies that could be sitting out in the overworld, all the different challenges you might be able to do, maybe you would have to go through certain levels to unlock certain, like, enemies and upgrade abilities, or copy abilities rather, and then once those copy abilities have been used at least once, you go back out into the hub world or the overworld or the open zone in that area, and oh, look at that, now that enemy is appearing all over the place, and you can use that ability to get to certain places, right? So that's something that I could definitely see working for Kirby, because that style is just... it's just immaculate. It's just a very good style that I really appreciated from Sonic Frontiers that I could easily see working for Kirby. And in these open zone areas, we would have a little bit more freedom as opposed to what we would have in the actual levels, right? We would have like the limited height jumps and things like that in the levels, but in the open hub world, we would have, less of a limit on that. You could still very much put a limit on that, because I feel like that would definitely defeat the purpose of having those challenges if we could just fly above everything. But, maybe a little bit less of a limit than we would have in the regular traditional Kirby levels, right? Now, another thing that I would like to see, right, is something that I just thought about right now, is a mix between 2D and 3D levels. Now, initially, I'm sure that sounds genuinely insane, Like, why in the world would you want to have 2D levels in a 3D Kirby game, or 3D levels in a 2D Kirby game, or yada yada yada, whatever? The point and purpose is there is no one without the other, right? And we've come so far to the point where Forgotten Lands is a testament to what Kirby is capable of, and it is such a good game. It's so well developed, and these 3D levels are so pretty, right? Now, I'm not saying that we should get rid of one or the other entirely. I want to strike a little balance, right? I love like Mario and Sonic and things like that. I love both of those games for what they are, right? Especially Sonic, where we have so many situations in which the levels themselves tend to blend between 2D and 3D. And, you know, maybe this does probably sound like I'm trying to turn Kirby into Sonic, but no, that's not what's happening here. These are two very completely different games. However, it would be fun to have both present. Does that make any sense? Like, I'm totally fine if we were to just have a 2D side-scroller Kirby game, traditional, or if we were to have another new 3D, you know, open area type Kirby game. Either way, whatever we happen to end up going with, it would be cool to see a blend between the two. Okay. And that's all I'm asking for, because to be fair, we've gotten to the point where we now have 3D Kirby. We may as well, you know, make reference to its roots every now and again in 2D levels. And I feel like that would be really, really cool and really, really fun. So, I don't know. That's just me. Moving on from that, another thing that I would definitely like to see, and something that it's not like we haven't seen this before, is swappable characters, right? Kirby has a rich history of characters, and obviously some of the most prominent ones being Meta Knight, Waddle Dee, and King Dedede, okay? And all of these characters in some way, shape, or form usually have some kind of involvement sometimes within the story. I mean, they definitely had involvement in Return to Dreamland. They were definitely all present. But I would like to see, if we're going into a 3D Kirby game, I would love to see these characters work in this setting on Kirby's side as opposed to against him, right? And I would love to be able to play in the overworld and through the levels with these characters as an option, right? I would love to be able to play through a couple of levels here and there as Meta Knight, you know? Maybe, you know, Kirby doesn't have to do everything by himself. Maybe some of these levels are designed around Meta Knight, and we could do that. And maybe some of these levels are designed around Waddle Dee. Some of these levels are designed around Dedede. I would love to be able to play as all of these different characters and use their fun and unique kits on this journey alongside Kirby. It doesn't have to be all Kirby all the time. And hey, you know, Kirby games are designed at heart with multiplayer in mind most of the time. Don't remember if Forgotten Lands is. I don't think it is. I never played the multiplayer for that game, if there is any. But if there was ever a time to introduce something like that, it would definitely be for a new Kirby title. Okay, so I feel like that would be a lot of fun, something that would make me incredibly happy if I could play as Meta Knight and utilize his abilities, upgrade him, and use him in the overworld sometimes, or just, you know, swap to him for fun every now and again when I feel like I want to just, you know, do something different outside of just, you know, plain old copy and paste with Kirby, you know. But that's just me. That's just my take on it. Another thing that I would like to see more of, something that we've definitely, I'm sure, seen before, is a more customizable Kirby, right? I would love to be able to unlock, like, different color palettes and different designs or stickers to put on them, or just something along those lines to just decorate Kirby a little bit so we can differentiate him on our, you know, distinct journeys and whatnot, especially because, you know, after getting introduced to the different Kirby colors in, like, Smash throughout all these years, it was always crazy to me how we just didn't have something like that in Kirby's own games. You know, I've always liked the darker shade with the yellow or golden eyes or whatever. Always loved that variant of Kirby. I would definitely adore seeing him playable in his own game. I would love to use that color palette. I would love to utilize that style of Kirby. And of course, you know, I'm sure a lot of others would definitely agree in, you know, just changing his shoe color. You know, maybe, you know, you want to play with a blue shoe Kirby. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you want to play with a black shoe Kirby as opposed to like that glowing red. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Maybe you want to swap it up and switch styles a little bit every now and again, you know? There's a whole color wheel we can use, okay? So, I don't know. That's just how I feel about that, but I would definitely love to see a customizable Kirby. Now, the primary thing that I would definitely love to see going into this next mainline Kirby, and the most important thing, actually, I think, is a lot of elements from Forgotten Land, but obviously, like, upgraded, you know, to a higher scale, okay? Obviously, you know, having, like, the massive post-game that they had from the main game was super-duper awesome. Like, they killed it with that post-game, bro. They really cooked phenomenally. Like, easily one of the best post games in a game I've ever played, and easily one of the sickest, like, true final bosses I've ever witnessed. Like, holy crap, they cooked that with that game so insanely hard, it's not even funny, right? I love the post game in Kirby's Forgotten Land, unless that's not. I'm pretty sure that's the secret boss. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I gotta go back. I'm gonna play it again soon. But yeah, the post game was super sick. The hub world, the way that they had the hub where you would, you know, track levels and things like that with all of the different like Waddle Dees around. You're able to, you know, upgrade the area, you know, depending on how many Waddle Dees you saved, and you'd be able to go fishing for items. You'd be able to decorate the place in some areas and things like that. Like, you'd be able to collect stuff. It was super nice. All of the mini games that were available, those were hella fun. Oh my goodness. Like, they really cooked with the hub world, and I feel like that's something that should definitely come back. Again, I feel like the idea of like little open zones here and there for these hub worlds would make things a lot more interesting and a lot more fun. I feel like that would be just the next proper step up for Kirby. Again, I'm sure that there's plenty of other ways to do it. Maybe we could just get another simpler hub world or something like that. But I feel like we would definitely spend a lot more time in these hub worlds if we had a lot more to do, and giving us multiple hub worlds with multiple like open zones and things like that to explore and collect stuff in. Major game-changing player, dude. That would be super awesome. So that's definitely something I would like to see. Of course, the regular schmegular 3D levels that we got in Forgotten Land. Not regular schmegular, that's not what I wanted to say. But like, the actual levels, of course, those being in 3D, that's a mandatory. Like, I don't think I can go completely back to 2D. I mean, I can, but I would definitely just... Again, that's why I said earlier that I would love to see a blend between the two, because I love the 3D, but I also do love the 2D. I would just like to see a blend of the two. But if we had to be stuck with one or the other in this instance, I would rather, if we just go one direction, then just focus on 3D levels and focus on those designs specifically. And I feel like we would be completely fine with that. I would definitely just love to see what else they could cook up with these 3D levels. I feel like they went crazy, like balls to the wall when it came to Forgotten Land, and I was super with that. So if we could do something with that again, I'm more than for it, man. That would make me super duper happy. And then, of course, something I didn't get to talk about as much as I would have wanted to, because I wasn't really doing content this heavy back when Forgotten Land first came out, but I was appalled, like beyond ecstatic about the upgradable copy abilities. Like, being able to go out of your way to make these copy abilities look cooler and feel stronger made me want to utilize every single upgraded copy ability, because they all became super cool and good and useful, and going back through older levels with these overpowered abilities was just so much fun. It made for a lot of replayability. So I would definitely just be ecstatic to see that content, or that type of content, come back for this game. And just kind of go on with the series forever, because I feel like that's like one of those things, that perfect like gimmick that could be a mainstay if they really wanted it to be, while also adding different gimmicks to like change up the style of the game. But I don't know. I mean, if you don't bring it back, I can live with that. That's totally fine. But I definitely would like to see upgradable copy abilities as a mainstay gimmick. And then the last critical thing that I think I would like to see for this next Kirby game: more updates and content afterwards. Why in the hell was there like no Forgotten Lands was another one of those games where they just kind of dropped it and they said, okay, see you later, bye. And we were like, whoa, hang on, we're in the age of DLC now. Like, there are times where it's more than acceptable to give us more content afterwards. Why are we just dropping games as soon? Like, I mean, granted, I'm all for like a finished game being dropped and then just being done with it. That's totally fine. But I mean, we could have been feasting a little more. Kirby Forgotten Lands is such an incredible game, and we were eating good, but I'm sure a lot of you guys can agree, it's kind of weird that we didn't get more, right? It was another one of those situations like with like Mario Wonder and stuff like that more recently, where they just kind of like pissed off as soon as the game was out. They're like, all right, we're done with this, goodbye. Hang on. This is one of those situations where the game does feel finished, it does feel complete, but a couple of challenge maps, a couple of harder, like crazier bosses or something, I don't know, like something. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. That's not something that they usually do for Kirby games anyway, so I guess it's fine and it makes sense that they didn't, but I mean, more Kirby is not gonna hurt anybody, I don't think, personally, so I don't know. If we do decide to do it finally, I would definitely love to see it for this new Kirby game, whatever it so happens to be. I mean, obviously, it's more important that the game in of itself cooks and that the game in of itself is good before we decide if we want more of said game, but rarely have we ever had an issue like that with Kirby. Like, if there's any developers that care about their product, it's usually Nintendo, and Kirby is one of their babies that they're going to take care of. So I'm sure that the game is going to cook, and if it does cook as hard as I'm hoping it does, then we'll probably hopefully get some DLC. But again, maybe not. I guess it really just depends on the developers and how they feel the game's development goes. Like, they could feel like it's complete, they could feel it's finished, and that they don't really need to add squad else. And that's okay. That's totally up to them. But I don't know. I guess we're just going to have to leave it at that. But with that just about does it for this one. So I'm passing the mic over to you guys. I want you guys to tell me everything that you guys are thinking in the comment section below. Do you feel the same way that I do in regards to, you know, the next mainline Kirby game? Do you agree with any of the ideas that I've mentioned or listed here? Do you feel like you would like to see swappable characters or a customizable Kirby or an open zone format? Or am I completely out of my mind? You don't want to see anything even within that realm, and I'm absolutely insane. Lock me up, put me away forever. Tell me everything that you guys are thinking in the comment section below, because you know for a fact that I'm always going to be down there with you guys. But with that, yes sir, it does appear to be skedaddle o'clock, so I'm going to go ahead and do just that. I would like to thank you guys ever so much for watching. I truly do hope you enjoyed. Do me the greatest favor, dropping a like and a comment, and consider subscribing for more content just like this here. And with that, I'm gonzo. Thanks again, hope you enjoyed, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next video. Do me the greatest favor, taking good ass care, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!